Jeff Peterson from Heartland Farm Partners is our market analyst this week. The USDA's May crop report helped corn prices rise and soybean prices soar on Tuesday. Soybeans were aided especially by ending stocks estimates below traders' expectations. Earlier in the week, the agency's latest crop progress report showed U.S. farmers were 14 points ahead of the country's 5-year average corn planting pace and 7 points better than normal in soybeans. Nebraska is still lagging behind. Growers are 6 points behind in corn and 8 points off in soybeans. We talked with Jeff Thursday afternoon and began by asking for his thoughts on how the May crop report impacted markets.
If I was to sum it up in a few words, it'd really be pleasantly surprised in demand, Jeff. It's nice getting the May report out of the way. It's our first look at USDA's thoughts on the 2016 crop. And then keep in mind that crop for corn and beans won't start until August and carries around through September.
Why were traders so surprised, especially with the soybeans?
Yeah, that's the big talk right now. And it really comes down to the ending stocks of the 2016 crop. 305 million bushels. That's a lot less than what they're expecting. 405 million was what they were looking at as an average guess. The last time we saw any numbers out of USDA in regard to the 16 would have been the outlook, and that was 440 million bushels. So we had a 175 million bushel increase on the demand side. If we break that down, that was 145 million more bushels for exports, about 35 million more bushels for the crush, and then residual has dropped down about 10. As we dig deeper into those numbers, it looks like USDA believes about 20 million bushels of those crush is actually going to get exported because of some of the problems that's coming out of South America. On top of that though, Jeff, for the 2015 crop, 45 million more bushels of demand, 35 million more for exports, 10 million more bushels for crush. As we dug into those crush numbers, all of the meal from that crush is going to be exported. And the reason for that, a lot of that is because of what's going on in South America. In the numbers for 2015, production down 129 million. Now the thing about that though, as we come back into 2016, they are raising it back up 165 million, but those are some big swings.
Yeah, and you're talking bushels there too.
Exactly, on bushels.
The high that we saw this week, is that the high for the contract?
Well, I think if we're a pure technician, we'd say probably not, but since we are managing price risk and we're looking at it from the fundamental and technical side, I think it is, unless we see additional problems down the road. And what kind of problem that would take is that would take something on the weather side sometime later in the summer.
What was the corn market reaction to these estimates?
You know what, the corn market jumped pretty good too. It was up 11 cents for the day. The number, we moved from the April ending stock number for the 15 crop at 1.862 all the way down to 1.803. But really the whole story was on new crop. And on the new crop side, 2.153 billion was the first shot at the 2016 numbers. That's versus a 2.294 billion that USDA had out there. Now that means there was 535 million more bushels of demand. 300 from feed, 175 from exports, and 50 from the ethanol side. That was some big changes.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about planting progress across the U.S. and in Nebraska. What's the update?
It really just depends on where you're at. If you were to take a big picture look and look at it nationally, you'd say, you know what, sitting here at 64% planted versus 50% on average on the corn side nationally, not too bad. But then we take a look at Nebraska, 53% planted versus 59%. And then you dig over to the soybean side, 23% for the national on soybeans versus 16% on the 5-year average. And then you come back in on Nebraska and we see that, we're currently sitting here at about 13% planted versus 21% on the 5-year average. So if you're in Nebraska, if you're in Indiana, Ohio, parts of Kansas, parts of western Iowa, boy, it seems like this thing's dragging out on us.
Yeah, does the delay and does the rally in prices, does it switch acres? Does it reduce total acres?
I think a couple things that happen as we dig back into the numbers. One thing that we think is that we think there'll be some more acres overall out there come in, but I do think that does cause a switch in acres. I do think we could see the bean acre number come up maybe a couple million acres. I wouldn't be surprised to see corn come down maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of a million also because of the profitability and these wet planting conditions that we've had.
What are your sales strategies right now?
Right now on the sales strategy side, on the bean side first, we'd like getting sold here and then actually having some upside protection if it'd make you feel more comfortable. On the corn side, we're still being a little bit patient here.
That's for new crop, roll crop.
That would be on the new crop side. On the old crop, I'd be using these price moves we have to clean up the bushels you've got in the bins.
Basis expectations?
You know, as we go forward, Jeff, we'll have to keep a close eye on the basis. We think we could see a little bit of narrowing yet on the old crop basis because it's widened out so much. New crop is still up in the air, but I'd still want to be using hedge to arrives if I'm making sales.